Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking about Kemono Michi Rise Up Episode 1, Wrestler X Summoning. Before we begin though, I do want to let you all know that if you would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Kemono Michi video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Now with that said, we're gonna get into it, and if you have seen my channel trailer video, you'll know that I was pretty iffy on this one. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it, but I was like super sure about Cautious Hero. Well, that just flipped totally on its head. I friggin' what was that? I loved this. I was not expecting this. So there's three things I want to talk about in regards to this episode in today's video. Namely, I want to talk about the impact of wrestling, I want to talk about Animal Mask, and I want to talk about the Otherworldly Writing. Haha, get it, Otherworldly Isekai puns. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with the wrestling thing. Now, I don't know why I didn't think about the fact that it's a wrestling show. It's not just an isekai, it's also a show about wrestling to an extent. It is mostly an isekai, but the main character is a pro wrestler, or was. And so, I don't know why I thought I wouldn't be at least a little bit intrigued, because if you don't know or you don't follow me on Twitter, I got back into wrestling recently. I've been watching WWE Raw. I've been really excited for the move to for SmackDown to move to Fridays. I've actually mainly just been keeping up with WWE, but I am really interested in getting into stuff like AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. But yeah, all of that to say, I've been really into wrestling again lately for the first time since I think maybe I was like a preteen. It's been over a decade since I last got into wrestling, so the timing of this couldn't have been more perfect. I am really into wrestling right now, so the fact that there's an isekai about a wrestler, pretty dang good timing. The only way this could have been more hype is if the main character was Bray Wyatt. I just lost all my viewers who don't know much about wrestling, but that's okay, we're gonna keep going. There's a couple wink, nod, fan servicey wrestling bits in here as well. We get we get the mention of the German suplex. We see a roll up that he uses on the Cerberus, and we will get to the Cerberus whole thing later. But it's not just moves, it's also little nods, little hints here and there to other things in wrestling, like when he's talking to his I believe it's his manager, and his manager says wait, you have a dream after this, another stage in your life? What is it? Are you gonna quit wrestling and go do MMA? And when I saw that, I was like, that's gotta be a reference to Brock. That's either gotta be a reference to Brock or CM Punk. There's a lot of wrestlers who will quit and go do MMA, and so I was like, man, that's gotta be a nod in some way, either to Brock, Punk, or just the fact that most wrestlers will quit and go do MMA. I thought that was really fun, little things like that. There's also a hint in the locker room if you somehow were not aware that it was an isekai and you thought you were watching a wrestling show. The match is booked as the interdimensional title match, and you see a big explosion of purple in the background of the poster in the locker room, as if they knew he was gonna get teleported into another world. It was just friggin', I loved it. And there's little things too, when Genzo, aka Animal Mask, our MC, when he shouts at the one guy who was willing to give him a dagger, which most people in an isekai would be like, yes please, thank you, free weapon. He immediately shouts do I look like the kind of wrestler who would use weapons? And I was like, oh man, Animal Mask is clearly a face, and if you don't know what that means, faces are good guys, heels are bad guys. And Animal Mask must have either been a face or a baby face, and a baby face just means a super big in your face, oh my god, look how great this guy is. And it's just little things like that all over the place. When he pins somebody, when he pins them down for the suplex or the roll up, you can actually hear somebody in the distance go, 1, 2, 3. It's glorious. I won't give in. I won't give in. Oh my god, I'm just nothing but wrestling quotes. This is awesome. And you know what else too? We actually get to see the match. We actually get to see the interdimensional title match, and it looks good. We only get to see brief snippets of it, but I was surprised. It's actually animated decently well. Again, I can only really use stills for these videos out of fear of copyright shenanigans. But if you haven't seen the episode yet and you're worried maybe it won't animate too well, it really, it does. It's not like consistently Sakuga or anything, but it's really cool looking. Like it genuinely has flow and movement to it, and it actually feels like a genuine match at points. Obviously it doesn't look real or anything, but it just, like, it actually moves like a wrestling match, and I thought that was really friggin' cool. I was surprised. But speaking of surprises, let's go ahead and jump into the next topic in this video. Animal Mask himself, our MC. Now, when I was watching this at the beginning, I had this thought of, like, you know what? Animal Mask, since I didn't know his name yet, could be a top tier husbando. I could see it. Like, and I, like, as the episode kept going, I was like, you know what? He could be. He could be top tier. He could be toppest tier. Could be golden tier for all I know. There's not many wrestling, like, MCs out there. There's not much wrestling anime. So I don't have a husbando who's a wrestler yet. I could add this guy to my husbando list, and I started, like, becoming like a girl talking about their ideal guy. Like, I was just like, he's got a good job, he's in shape, and he likes puppies. Like, I was just going off about this guy, like, going like, yeah, I like this guy, I really like this guy. He's great. Oh, he suplexed the princess. Okay, well, that's maybe not cool, but you know what? She was talking bad about animals, and he's an animal lover, and you know what? So am I. We have so much in common, and oh no, he's a furry. Yeah, Animal Mask is a furry. But it wouldn't be bad if it wasn't the fact that there's bad touch. There's some bad touch in this. Like, I was actually screaming like, oh no, please, no, don't do that. Don't go there. Oh no. Yeah, that's pretty uncool. That's pretty uncool of him. And I was like, oh no. But the thing is, like, it just keeps ramping up in insanity. Like the craziness of this character and his, like, they even say it when he's announced, like, on his way to the ring, that he loves animals maybe too much. Maybe a little too much. And I think, yeah, really too much. And it's a lot. But the zaniness, the insane kinetic energy this character has is the kind of zany, off-the-wall, crazy stuff that actually got me into watching a lot of anime anyway. I kind of missed this, like, zany sense of anime. A lot of other shows try to be quote-unquote zany. This one really nails it. As an example, the Cerberus fight. Again, genuinely cool moment. Like, he actually is able to say, like, okay, well, if I befriend the alpha of the pack, they're all going to like me, and the alpha's probably the one backing the pack up. Most people think it's like the one in the front. It's actually usually the one in the back. So, like, little things like that, I was like, wow, he actually knows his stuff. And it's like this cool moment of him, like, charging up, and he goes into fight, and again, it looks cool. Like, it's maybe not like the most amazing Sakuga you've ever seen in your life or anything, but it's fluid, it moves, it looks good. Again, I was surprised. I thought this was gonna be like a really, for some reason, I thought this show was just not gonna be animated very well. But it really is. Like, the Cerberus fight, as brief as it is, and that's the thing, these scenes are brief, but they're good. If you can nail, like, a good scene for just a little bit of time, it's still just as impressive to me as a big scale one that's maybe animated not so great. Like, in this case, less is more, and that fight is great, and it's, again, zany in the sense that you have this really cool moment that is then paired with our hero being real weird and maybe sniffing things he shouldn't be sniffing. It's a lot. Genzo is a lot. He's an interesting human. I wish he would knock it the hell off a little bit. Maybe just reel it in. Maybe just reel it in a little bit, and I could call you a husbando. But for now, I will call you my boy, even though you are an interesting person. And I also really dig the new character that is introduced, Shigure, who is a 10 out of 10 cutie. I'm realizing maybe some stuff about me this season. We got this, plus B-Stars coming out down the line. Maybe this is the season I learned that I'm into cat girls. Who knew? Well, she's not a cat girl, she's a wolf girl, but whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Main thing is that she's a cutie. And she's adorable, and she gets along with a little doggo, Hiroyuki, who is a freaking awesome doggo. I'm glad that the show has a doggo in it. Every show is made better with a doggo, but Shigure gets along with the doggo. Wait, the character named Shigure gets along with the dog. Interesting. Anyway, Shigure getting along with the dog makes me happy. The fact that she's a super cutie also makes me happy, and the fact that she kinda reminds me of Aqua ever so slightly. Shigure kind of reminds me of like a less self-obsessed version of Aqua. She's sort of like business savvy, but maybe not all that bright and sort of like a bit of a snob. And she sort of shares the same relationship that with Genzo that Aqua and Kazuma share. So a little interesting. I was like, that's interesting that the two share a sort of similarity between those two characters, given that, well, they're written by the same person. Yes, let's go ahead and get into the third topic for today's video, the otherworldly writing. That's because, yeah, this show is written, well, at least the original manga was, written by the same person who wrote the Konosuba light novels. And when you watch the show, that makes a fair deal of sense. Not only because it's funny, but because it's actually kind of clever. For one thing, we actually get to see what the people's reaction is to someone being isekai'd. Again, no Truck-kun, which kind of breaks my heart. I would love to have seen Truck-kun coming out, he's jumping off the top ropes, and like colliding with the guy. But, you know, I will take magic fairy beams as well. That's okay. But just the fact that we get to see an audience full of people like react, like the whole room goes silent and the announcer's like, what the hell just happened? Like, I would love to have seen more fallout from that, but the fact that we actually get to see it is A, really funny, and B, something we don't really get to see that often, so it was kind of a pleasant surprise. Not to mention that Konosuba comedy is at play in a big way. The jokes are like really quick and punchy, and they're all character based. Like they're not like, oh, look at this zany situation or this one trick pony of a joke. All the jokes are based on how the characters are written, so they're all true to their character while still being genuinely really funny. And the jokes are quick, jabby, like they don't overstay their welcome. Konosuba humor to the extreme. Maybe not as, like, obviously not quite as impactful as Konosuba humor, because he's had quite some time to hone his craft when it comes to Konosuba. Here he's still, I think, trying to gather a sense for who these characters are, but maybe down the line the show will, like, at least to me, I assume that down the line, the show will only continue to get funnier and funnier. But on that note, everybody, I am both a little bit shocked and only slightly embarrassed to say that I'm gonna have to put this premiere in the A tier. I thought this was an A tier solid episode. I was so pleasantly surprised, and I think that's like that sort of pleasant surprise feeling just kind of took over, and the rest of the episode I thought was hilarious. I thought the characters are really fun. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the world, maybe see some other wrestlers get isekai'd in. I'm excited. I'm really excited for more of the show, which, again, pleasant surprise. But before I end today's video, as always, I want to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Amy Beery, Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Ginkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon. It is super appreciated, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can get a bunch of cool rewards, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But on that note, everybody, that is gonna be a video, so I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't gonna tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated. And if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I'll talk to you all again real soon.